empowering community media to fight the climate crisis in the Rwenzori region in Uganda. The project on empowering community media to fight the climate crisis in the Rwenzori region in Uganda is born from the realization that the severity of climate change is growing globally. The problem in Africa has been embraced by various stakeholders, including the civil society, media, and the communities. These stakeholders have followed the information deficit model, which assumes that people are reluctant to take personal actions because they lack information.
We have limited skills on reporting on issues concerning the environment. That was our first challenge. We all noticed that we really lacked skills and we really still need them. So there is limited skills to report issues to do with environmental stories, since most of us could not understand how to approach them.
Obwira bumwe noshanga ngo abantu abina makuru nkagompaho tibali willing kugira ngo abasega tuhereza tubasega shoza then kandi mu kwandika makuru agompaho twashanga ngo harimo ibintu byinshi biri kwetagwa nka drones nka cameras n'ibindi byo kushanga abanyamakuru tibine kandi tibakubasa kwehisyaho ebyo natwashanga nibiteganisa ningari bitulemesa okuhandika amakuru nkago.
This model puts media at the center of communication activities. While this approach has increased public awareness, it has not persuaded the public to rank climate change higher than threats such as terrorism, the economy, and others for behavior change.
The Rwenzori region, which we all are proud to call home, is under serious threat from environmental degradation. Here in Fort Portal Tourism City, nearly half of the wetland cover has been lost due to human activity. Wetlands that should be protecting us from floods and providing water are being turned into construction sites, into farmlands, and dumping grounds.
In light of the above, the Rwenzori Media Development Foundation, RMDF, carried out 6 training sessions to build the knowledge base on environmental issues and reporting practices. The sessions targeted 30 journalists from 15 community radio stations in the Rwenzori region. The first phase of the training was conducted during 3 days to cover 3 planned project activities. The second phase of the training also covered 3 days to focus more on breaking down the complex science that characterizes climate change issues. On the first day of the training held last year on 2nd December 2024, the focus was on instruction on environmental degradation in Uganda and the role media plays in promoting sustainability. The lead facilitator, Dr. William Tayebwa, a senior lecturer of journalism and communication from Makerere University, took the participants on a journey of highlighting the major environmental challenges from the global level to regional and local levels.
Involve communities in the environmental stories, participatory monitoring, you remember that. Work with sub-county environmental committees, engage more on social media to amplify environmental stories, demystify environmental stories for the public, apply for environmental reporting grants. I'm delighted to hear, through the reporting that you are doing, that some of you have moved to have beats, right? Science, journalism beats. And I want to encourage all of you to do the same. So that, it's a very dedicated beat. And you can be able to deploy accordingly.
The groups were divided and a few presentations were based on the guiding questions. 1. What is the global, regional, and local status of the environmental issue you are studying? 2. What, according to you, are the causative factors? 3. What mitigation measures DU proposed Group 1 on deforestation noted that the natural forests of Uganda are being lost and degraded at one of the highest rates in the world, despite their importance for tourism and other natural activities based on resources. Citing various studies, they noted that the total net loss of Uganda's forest during the period of 2000 to 2015 was estimated at 1.8 million hectares, equivalent to an average annual loss rate of 4%. Group 2 researched poaching, noting from reports that Uganda has for decades been a transit country for illegal animal species and their derivatives from the neighboring countries. Uganda also a home to a number of species targeted by the poachers. The group found that despite efforts of the international community and individual countries to end poaching and target the markets that drive these activities, poaching continues to be a global problem. Group number 3 researched on land degradation. They reported from the research that one of the major causes of land degradation is overpopulation. The group cited recent reports that the Rwenzori region has a population of about 3 million people, and the population is expected to grow at a rate of approximately 3% per year. Group 5 worked on pollution and cited various studies, particularly one by Mokasa 2020 that established heavy metal pollution of the Mobuku, Rimi and Nyamwamba rivers in Kasese district. The studies found that other rivers and water sources in the region also suffer from various forms of pollution. On the second day of the training on 3rd December 2024, Dr. Tayewa focused on specific genre of environmental journalism and was to reflect on environmental issues in the region that have an impact on human lives and how the media can shine a spotlight on them.
Climate change ati impinduka yensi hati tukureba umushana mwingi kukwija guba mwingi muno enjura kigwa nayo kandi rengeserezo bwingi aturiyo ntureba nkito abanyamahurire nico kutwakubasa kuyamba ensi kurebwa ngo twayigesa abantu okuba kubasa kwata ryo buto hangwa bwitu.
On the third day of 4th December 2024, Dr. Tayewa started the sessions by introducing the concept of science journalism and pointing to key resources. To enrich the discussions, Associate Professor Lawrence Mugisha from the Makerere University College of Veterinary and Biomedical Sciences explained the concept of environmental health, noting the many human diseases that come from animals and vice versa.
The strategies we are working on are to help us enhance, our reporting on science issues, but especially so on data journalism.
The second phase of the project trained the same cohort for journalists from the first phase during 3 days. The training was conducted in the same venue. Mr. Martin Chibaba, the executive director of the RMDF, started the workshop by welcoming the members and thanking them for the good work they've done since the last set of sessions. He played a video produced by the RMDF recapping the first phase of the training.
In the Rwenzori Mountains, the glaciers that once defined our skyline have almost disappeared. What was 6.5 square kilometers of ice in the early 1900s is now barely visible. For the communities that rely on these mountains for water, the impact is real.
Ms. Susan Chekurui from the Ministry of Water and Environment, based in Fort Potro, told participants about the water management zones in the Fort Potro district and about concept of water permits. She noted the importance of journalists and the media in activities of the ministry, such as during Environment Week and other activities such as campaigns for the restoration of the wetlands.
When are the days when actually media we found that it was only for entertainment, but actually it's now a place where we can actually give out information. It's where people can learn lots of things, especially when it comes also to climate change. And we have actually been working a lot with different media platforms to convey our information to give people, to make them learn about this crisis.
Session 1, recap and review of the action points. Dr. Tayewa projected the action points and strategies drawn during the first phase and asked members to report on what they had achieved ever since December 2024. Here are a few of the achievements that the journalist outlined.
Abanyamakuru tusemerire twegesa abantu tuboleke kukira muno kuraba mukandika stories rundi kukora programs zino ha radio kuboleka nti habukuba tukimanyire ngo ebyo bhango kakwa tutabirinda nendwere nyingi ezitwizira nosanga ziresero habo kusise ebyo bhango
neito lakatuteke mu ensira tutehamani kugama neito ntuyetaba omukurwanire ebyo bhango
nibikwataho nyowe nkomunyamakuru nibikwataho iwe naba barkwije kirikanyike. So the moment we have that in our mind, we can be able to write about environment stories, then kuchongera kukonyera kulinda ensi yetu.
The second session of the day was on breaking down the concept and practice of data and science journalism in environmental reporting by the various facilitators. The first facilitator for the session policymakers to solve the problems.
Most of us want to do stories very fast because the editor sends you to the field. He expects the story in one day, in that very day. So we don't have ample time to report because some of these stories need time. You have to investigate, you have to interpret, you have to move. So we find it also another challenge in reporting science stories.
He noted that the scientific method based on research is not complete without other players. For example, researchers create the knowledge that the media disseminates to the public to make personal or business decisions and to policymakers to make their decisions. Therefore, it is critical for the journalists and the media to understand the research on the key issues that affect societies, since it affected how people will go about their daily activities and how major decisions are made.
When you talk of environment reporting and their policies kind of don't relate or lie well with the environment and what we've been learning here. Then also limited editorial support. At times we find there is less funding, but also in the editorial department, very few people are there.
In the third session of the day, Dr. Wendo and Dr. Tayewa led participants in a discussion of the current status and future of science communication in Africa. Dr. Tayewa recast the discussion to group work on the final day of the workshop that will look on the challenges but also the possible solutions.
These days, we are so much into politics and crime stories make headlines, doctor. On TVs, on radio, in papers, you find politics and crime are taking lead. But can we also try to look out for research studies which are scientific based so that we can also pick items which can also make headlines.
Financial constraints. Looking at financial constraints, how? In terms of transport, airtime, data, to collect this information. Number two, we have denial to access to information. Here, some sources do not like to give or unveil this information with us, making it very difficult for us to have access to this important information.
Twashanga nguni twetaga okuhindura omunteekateeka yitu, twine kuhindura omu mikorere yitu, okureka ngu ebintu ebiri kukwata aha mbeera ey'obwire, ebintu ebiri kukwata ahari science nayo twabiteekamu amaani okugira ngu abantu biitu aheeru nabo tuboleke ngu nikikuru munonga tituri kubeera habwa politics zonka, kureka nitwetaaga n'okubeeraho turi kureeba embeera ei tukubeeramu ya environment hamwe n'amakuru aga science.
Last session of the workshop was the closing ceremony that was graced by the Toro Kingdom Prime Minister, Right Honorable Romire Calvin Armstrong Akiki, flanked by his deputy, Honorable Harriet Aboli Nyakake, and Priest Kato Benadra Katali Aboki. The Kingdom officials appreciated the work by Mr. Kibaba and the RMDF in training journalism on the issues that focus specifically on environmental journalism. The Prime Minister emphasized the shared vision of protecting the environment in the Kingdom, the country, and the globe. He urged journalists to work closely with the Kingdom on current issues of common interest.
We do not change, worse is coming. As the speakers before me have mentioned, Rwenzori had glaciers. Today, there is nothing. And what does that indicate? River Park is going to die. Because all these are tributaries. That's where the water was coming from. Now, I've already here mentioned Gobera. Those are secondary issues. The main issue is the frogs that we're removing from their habitat. The trees that we're cutting and making chapter. So, climate change is real and needs our agenda.
The Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Aboli Harriet Nyakake, also appreciated the media for their good work in covering environmental issues and appreciated the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Romire Calvin, for the Baragira Kiki initiative that was launched to create a clean and smart city in Food Patrol.
Abantu bajyana kuvera umusara, abantu bahindwire ebitogo bayombekamo amacu n'amaka kandi ho butoro abamakuru abengi abantu ubamanya ngo bekarhamzindaro mu byoma byabo mu studios n'ebindi bitata abamakuru nabo ikintu cyabakwataho abakaseso barabarumu nyamwambe iginkuru muno mukasese naye ningira barore ikintu cyabakwataho urusozi rutuyotoreye twena barusozi boyi kandi twine nyonga kora urusozi tutamwikitini sano imukanyenjakara nurorebire hatembuka tukyabiro.
Bringing together of the journalists from various districts of the Rwenzori region for 3 days obviously enhanced their awareness on the science environmental challenges. And even though the challenges may appear local, but they are interconnected as the ecosystem theories averse. The participants not only identified the challenges in science reporting, but also highlighted some mitigation measures. Most importantly, the participants laid out strategies of enhancing science reporting in their respective media organizations. Such strategies will continue to serve as monitoring and evaluation tool for the media houses.